What's up everyone, I thought I'd do something new for this channel. Today, we're going to run through Pokemon Emerald Rogue using only water types. If you do not know Pokemon Emerald Rogue, it's a realm hack that makes Pokemon Emerald a roguelike game. You will understand as you watch the run. There are a few rules though. I can only use water types. If one of my Pokemon faint, it dies, just like in a Nuzlocke. If I lose a battle, the run is lost. I was inspired by one of my favorite YouTubers, Zwiggle, and I have to say, it's my first time doing this. But without further ado, let's do this. So here we start our run with our starter K. Rool, a Sheer Force Life Orb, Totodile with a Jolly Nature, and that had Waterfall. So this was a pretty good Pokemon to start with. So we start with a Convergent route. I was hoping to find a couple of water types to start with, but unfortunately, we were not lucky enough. We found a couple of flying types and interesting grass types, but none of them were water types. We moved on with only Totodile. I could have gotten more water types because there was a lake, and for every single run you get 2 encounters per run, and I could have gotten those 2 encounters, but I kind of forgot about them. Anyway, it's not like Totodile was struggling on his own. As you could see here, he could take down every single Pokemon in one shot. Seriously, Waterfall plus Life Orb is crazy good. We exit the route and go on to the next one, which is an average spooky route. This average spooky route did not have any water types either, so we just blitzed through it using K. Rool and went on to the next one. I headed into a mart rest stop in order to find some interesting items. There were some Pokeballs and some potions, but nothing too interesting. I tried to go into the TM shop and I found Dragon Claw, which could be pretty interesting for Totodile. It doesn't get boosted by Sheer Force, but it could be a good coverage move in case we encounter a Dragon type in our first gym battle. So I quickly exit the mart rest stop and headed on to our first gym battle. With only K. Rool in my team, I was a bit nervous because I could encounter an electric or grass type gym leader, but fortunately we encountered Misty, another water type trainer. She starts with Magikarp as I went with K. Rool. I went for a couple of bites while it went for tackle and I easily came out on top. Next was Staryu, who was a bit of a threat with Psywave, but it just spammed recover after a single bite, so it was just back and forth until I managed to take it out with a series of bites while it spammed recover. Last was Omanyte, who I went with Waterfall and did a decent damage, and it only went for Constrict. I finished it with Waterfall to gain my first gym badge. Looks like I was the better water trainer. With one gym badge in hand, we went on to the next one. I decided to go for an average chili ride in order to find any water types or potentially water ice types, but for some reason it didn't give me any ice types, no water types. It just gave me bug types for some reason. I kept on looking but no luck. And then I remembered that I could have used Surf all this time, so here I was trying to get my 2 encounters. The first encounter was a Shellos, who I was super happy because that could help me a lot with electric types. I decided to name it Bubblegum. I went on to get the second encounter, which was a Krabby. I didn't use Kingler that much, so I was pretty happy to have him as well. I decided to name him Patty. Shortly after this, K. Rool evolved into a Croconaw, which was really needed. Next, we head into an average rugged route. Of course, we couldn't find any water types, but mostly rock types. Comment down below if you want me to make another type run. I really enjoyed doing this one. We head into a battle training stop in order to get some items to enhance our Pokemon, like choice scarves. I also bought some adamant mints, which were probably the best mints out there. Soon, we headed into our second gym battle against Morty. So Morty sends Duskull and a single bite was enough to take it out. Gullet was next and we went for Waterfall to take it out. Spiritomb was up next and this guy survived a Waterfall but missed his hypnosis. I went for a second Waterfall as it went down. Sandygast was next and I took it out with Ice Punch because of water compaction. We got our second gym badge pretty easily and it only took one crocodile. I found the average wet route and I was super happy about it. I found so many water types such as Piplup, who I've named Lucian. Next we found a Slowpoke, who I was pretty happy about because Slowbro is an amazing Pokemon. I decided to name it Potato. Krabby evolved into a Kingler and Piplup evolved into a Prinplup shortly afterwards. Next we wandered around the route and look here, we actually found a shiny Piplup. Well, too bad for Lucian as Albert was the brand new Piplup in the team. Crocodile also evolved into Feraligatr as well and Bubblegum evolved into Gastrodon. Our team was pretty stacked. We cruised through the route quickly and exited with a brand new team. We went on to the next route in hoping to find maybe more members, but we only encountered electric types. There was also a Beware that gave me a lot of problems with Swords Dance, but luckily no one came hurt. We then went on to another route that only found ghost types, so nothing much happened. Time for the next gym. Looks like we were up against Bugsy. It wasn't too bad, honestly. We went for Waterfall to take out its Ariados, but it had a Focus Sash unfortunately, as it hit us with Fury Swipe. Next went for Ice Punch for the KO. Crustle was up next and went for another Waterfall, but it also survived with a Focus Sash and knocked our Life Orb off. So we finished it with Dragon Claw. Shelmet was up next and this guy protected unfortunately, and as I went for Waterfall it didn't die, but then a second Waterfall killed it. Snom was up next and this guy could not survive one Waterfall as we defeat Bruxy for our 4th gym badge. So we went on the Ice Cave, which was also sandstorming as we found some ground types and some ice types as well. Lucian evolved into Empoleon and Potato evolved into a Slowbro. Albert also evolved into an Empoleon. We then go through the Ice Cave and we enter the full rest stop where we could heal our Pokemon completely and get some important items such as Ice Beam and Earthquake. Up next was a major threat to our run, Watson. He had the rain set up for us, which was good, but also had an electric terrain. I went for Waterfall to take down his Dedenne easily, but then he brought in Heliolisk. I knew that this guy had dry skin, so I switched to Bubblegum in order to tank whatever electric move it had and go for the Mud Bomb. But he switches to Raichu as I went for big damage. Raichu goes for Grass Knot, but we survived and hit back with another Mud Bomb. Heliolisk comes back and honestly I was kinda stressed about this guy, so I decided to heal Bubblegum. He went for Hyper Voice and almost did half of my health as he goes for another one with only 17 HP left. I hit with a major Mud Bomb, but I knew I had to heal. I also didn't know that this guy was probably Scarfed, so I kinda struggled a lot trying to take it out. I go to Lucian to try to tank another Hyper Voice and heal Gastrodon. But then you see me do some kind of stupid play by bringing K. Rool in. as I hesitated a lot to try to take down this Heliolisk. We ran out of PP for Hyper Voice as it went for Struggle, and we successfully took it out. I bring Bubblegum back in for Toxtricity as it absorbs the discharge. It goes for Poison Jab and poisons me, but the Mud Bomb was enough to one-shot it. Next was Electrode, who had Light Screen up, meaning that I couldn't one-shot it. I also had to heal because of poison, but it didn't do much damage, so I just decided to heal up Bubblegum in order to avoid getting a stupid death. Went for Surf, but it still managed to live on a little bit of HP. One more Surf was enough to take it out, and we survived Watson without any death, surprisingly. That Heliolisk was super scary. I encountered a strong Pokemon, but unfortunately it was just a Charizard. I decided to take it out. Nothing much happened after that. We cruised on the routes pretty easily. We then enter a marked rest stop in order to stock up on some items. Next was our next gym leader, which was Koga, a poison type gym leader. He leads with Gengar while I went with K. Rool, and then Crunch easily took it out. Next was Venomoth, who couldn't survive a waterfall. We had Nidoking next. I went for Waterfall, but it survived with a Focus Sash and hit me with Ice Beam, who did nothing. Then we hit him with an Ice Punch to take it out. Next up was Crobat, who taunted me as I take it out with a single Ice Punch. Tentacruel was up next as I went for Crunch as it survives and knocks out my Life Orb, but the Crunch easily took it out so that we could win the battle. We received yet another gym badge. We basically cruised on the routes as we finally found another calm wet route. We find a Golduck who was a pretty decent water type. I replaced Lucian with it as I called it Maui. We also found an Octillery and I instantly replaced Maui with it. We called the Octillery Taco. I found Samurott and the other Empoleon, Almastar, and a Seadra. Seadra was the member I wanted to go with, as I really liked Kingdra. I called the Seadra Emperor as we leave the calm wet route with another successful team improvement. Next was the next gym leader, who was Roxanne. She starts with Rhyperior as I go with K. Rool. I go for Waterfall again to take it out. Next was Alolan Golem, who was pretty much a threat with its electric type, so I went with Bubblegum to absorb the electric attack. Next we go with Mud Bomb, but she switches to Tyranitar. This Tyranitar happened to be a Mega Tyranitar. I went for Surf to do big damage while it went for Stone Edge. Another Surf was enough to take it out. Golem was back as I heal Bubblegum with a Hyper Potion. He goes for a big Earthquake, but I'm pretty confident that I could survive another one, so I went with Surf. Minion was up next as I heal Bubblegum yet again. He goes for Shell Smash, making it quite a threat, so I just went with another Surf to try to do a lot of damage. Its hidden power did a lot of damage as it was grass, but we do manage to survive. Last Pokemon was not much of a threat though, as it was Shuckle. Why didn't she send this Pokemon much earlier? That could have made the battle much harder. We win against Roxanne to claim yet another gym badge. We go into this cave route as we find a Dreadnought. It was a pretty interesting mon to have, so I decided to catch it. But unfortunately, I liked my team so much, so I decided to not replace anyone with that Dreadnought. I then encountered the Lapras, which was definitely a plus, so I decided to replace Patty with our brand new friend Franklin. I also encountered this Crawdaunt in a trainer battle who gave me quite a lot of problem because of the sun, and it set it up with Swords Dance, making it quite a threat. Unfortunately, it didn't do much, so we were pretty lucky. Next was Blaine, a fire type gym leader, which was a pretty good sign for us. He starts with Arcanine as I set up with Swords Dance with K. Rool, but this guy Will-O-Wisp me, making my sweep a little bit harder. With the burn, I knew I had to heal it, otherwise I wouldn't do much damage. So I healed it with a Raspberry as I went for one more Swords Dance. But this guy Will-O-Wisp me once more, so I used the big Malasada in order to get my attack back. I waterfall this guy to finally get rid of it. Next was Charizard, which is actually a Mega Charizard Y, but he stood no chance to a +6 waterfall, even with the sunlight. Next was Ninetales, who was also an easy one-shot with waterfall. Magmortar was up next and he suffered the same fate. Marowak as well. And finally, Flareon, of course, you knew what happened. K. Rool is probably the run carrier, as you can see. Nothing much happened in between the two gyms, so I just skipped ahead to our final gym battle against Norman, the normal type gym leader. He starts with Spin Die, and you know what that means, right? Setting up with Swords Dance. Even though it had Contrary, it stood no chance to a +2 waterfall. Pyroar was next, which was honestly a stupid switch as I take it out with a waterfall. Cinccino suffered the same fate. Meloetta, which is actually a legendary, our first legendary seen in this run, suffered a crunch in one shot. Next we had Castform, who suffered the same fate with waterfall. Kecleon stood no chance. Dang, K. Rool is actually a GOAT. We were officially ready for the Elite Four. But this is where the run becomes crazy. We find a Slowbro Knight for our Slowbro so we could finally get a Mega Evolution. We also got a Dragon Scale for our boy Emperor as we used it to evolve it into a Majestic Kingdra. This was my team so far for the Elite Four. I was extremely happy with it and I was really confident about it. We had coverages everywhere. Grass types, electric types were no problem. We started with Karen, a dark type Elite Four. She started with Crawdaunt, and honestly this brought back my PTSD as this guy is honestly a threat to us. He dealt so much damage to my K. Rool and knocked off my life orb. I was really scared of it, so I decided to bring in Franklin as I thought it would tank the most, but it also got destroyed by a knockoff. I was honestly so confused about what to do, but I couldn't do anything besides letting Franklin go down. This was officially our first death. I bring in Kingdra to take this threat down with a Signal Beam. Grimmsnarl was up next as it was quite a threat for my Kingdra, so I decided to switch into Albert. Albert takes a Spirit Break like a champ as we fire back with a Surf. It survives with only a little bit of health, but another Surf was enough to take it out. Next was Zarude, which was a bit scary because it was a grass and dark type. I didn't know who to take, so I just decided to heal up Emperor in order to take one grass move. But Potato was there to cover things as I realized that it was banded into close combat. So a bit of Scalds were enough. We even got a lucky burn as I just decided to heal up all my Pokemon as it went down with struggle. We also burned Muck, the next Pokemon, and took it out with a series of Scald. Umbreon was up next as it started spamming Protects and Foul Plays. And with a combination of healing up and Scalds, we eventually come out on top. Sharpedo was up next, and this guy was also quite a threat as it was a Mega Sharpedo. So I went into Bubblegum in order to tank things, as it went for Crunch and Psychic Fang and took out one of my best team members. With a little bit of health left, it all took one waterfall from K. Rool to finally finish this rough Elite Four. We lost quite a few of my team members. I was especially sad to lose Bubblegum the Gastrodon, but we ran into a Pokemon lab which allowed us to revive one of our fallen team members, meaning we could have brought back Bubblegum, which we did, but sometimes it came with a punishment. I had the Everstone curse. This curse made it that I could only evolve Pokemon that evolved via level while they were holding a link cable. It wasn't too bad at this stage of the game. We ran into a legendary Pokemon. I hoped it was Kyogre, but turns out it was just Groudon, so I didn't even try. Our next Elite Four was there, which was Lorelei. Lorelei started with Cloyster, as I set up with Swords Dance with K. Rool, as I just spammed Icicle Spear. It had skill links, so it made things even more annoying as I continued setting things up. I decided to go for Crunch, but it survived with a focus sash and hit me with another series of Icicle Spears. I ended with Crunch, but I took some heavy damage. I decided to Crunch Lapras as well since I knew I would outspeed, and I took quite a risk by not healing K. Rool and outsped surprisingly Articuno as I took it out with another Crunch. Tentacruel was also taken out. I had to heal as well. Somehow Alolan Sandslash managed to outspeed me as I forgot that it had Slush Rush, taking out our most important member, K. Rool. Our starter Pokemon that carried us through many ordeals got taken out. It was up to Potato to avenge our fallen starter. I Mega Evolved him to take out this stupid Sandslash. Ninetales came in and had Aurora Veil, but I also got frozen. But I eventually came out on top as I switched to Albert and went for a major Flash Cannon that destroyed the Ice and Fairy types. We beat Lorelei, but unfortunately we lost a major team member. I had to stock up on max potions. The next battles were gonna be hard, very hard. Agatha was up next, and I only had quite a few Pokemon. I decided to lead with our new hero, Potato. Potato set up some Calm Minds as it was toxic. I take out Crobat with a good Psychic as she brings in Marowak. Marowak goes to Shadow Bones, which does a lot of damage, and I almost die with Toxic poison combined with it, but I heal up with Potato before things got ugly. I also got rid of its poison as this Max set up a lot of acid armor for no reason. It also became confused because of its berry, but I take it out with an easy Scald. Venomoth was no threat to me even though it set up Quiver Dance. Gengar, which was a Mega Gengar, went for Shadow Ball and almost took me out, but I managed to strike back with even more force. Last was Weezing as I heal up and got confused, but we powered through the confusion and the burn to take out Weezing. This was a very clean snowball sweep. Next we met this trainer, which took out another team member. I take out the Shift Tree, but she brings in Rotom Frost. I go for Signal Beam as she went for Gymnastic Block. We almost take it out, but she combines Pain Split and Blizzard to take out another crucial team member, Emperor. I can't believe we lost Emperor this easily. Things were not looking good at all. We only had 3 Pokemons left, and I had to rely on Mega Slowbro to carry me through this run, because it was definitely difficult with only 3 Pokemon. We couldn't find any new encounters before the next Elite Four. This was our team so far, and I had to rely on these 3 to take me to victory. Will was next, and he led with Meowstic. There was Psychic Terrain on, so I decided to just set up on the Meowstic with Calm Mind, as it didn't look like it was gonna hit me with much force. It only knew Psychic beside the screen, so I just decided to go all out on setting up with Calm Mind. As soon as we were +6, I went crazy. I scalded the Meowstic to destroy it. Slowbro was next, which was a Galarian Slowbro, but stood no chance to a superior one. This guy had a Mew which taunted me, but that was no problem. I was already +6. He takes out Calyrex, which was pretty much a threat to me, but we tanked an Astral Barrage pretty easily and got a lucky burn. That burn was very lucky. We slack off to get some health back and take out Sigilyph as it went for Defog for some reason. Mewtwo was the last Pokemon, which was a Mega Mewtwo Y, but since we were +6, we took it out even though it set it up with Calm Mind. Mega Slowbro, you got my respect. Next was the champion battle, our before last major battle, which was up against Bird Keeper Lance, or more like Dragon Keeper this time. He sent out Hydreigon, which was already a bad lead for my Slowbro as it pretty much hard-walled me. I decided to go Albert because he had Ice Beam and I knew that he would tank whatever this Hydreigon would throw at us. He goes for Earth Power and almost takes out Albert, but we hit with a strong Ice Beam. Our Pokemon all hit level 100 as it sent out Haxorus. I decided to go for Bubblegum to tank whatever it threw at me. It went for Rock Slide and luckily this guy was probably banded. We strike with a strong Ice Beam as I decided to take this opportunity to heal Albert. I decided to recover Bubblegum before finishing this Haxorus off with another Earth Power. It then takes out Rayquaza, not only a Rayquaza, but a Mega Rayquaza. It goes for Dragon Ascent and takes down Bubblegum with ease. We were in so much trouble, we had only 2 members left. It goes for another crazy Dragon Ascent, but fortunately we do a major critical hit Ice Beam to take it out. Eternatus was up next. He goes for Dynamax Cannon, which does quite a lot of damage, and we couldn't take it out with one Ice Beam, so I had to heal Albert up. It recovers as I go for another Ice Beam, but it wasn't enough to take it out. Fortunately, it goes for Flamethrower the next turn as we take it out with a final Ice Beam. Yet another legendary appears, being Latios, but we easily take it out with Ice Beam. And then another legendary, Giratina, makes its appearance. We have no more Ice Beams left as we ran out of PP and because of Giratina's pressure. So I just heal up while it goes for rest. I also bring my Ice Beam back as it wakes up and goes for Will-O-Wisp, but that doesn't bother me too much. I go for Ice Beam as it goes for rest yet again, but that was a good thing as I could just finish the job with 2 more Ice Beams. I had 2 more Pokemon left and 1 final battle to go. That was not a good thing. I was in major trouble until I found this blessing, a calm, wet route. I could get new team members. This came in clutch. I was super happy. I found a Pelipper, which I named Pico, that could help us set up the rain. Next I found a Quiflish, who I named Fodder because honestly, it's not a Hisuian Quiflish, so we can't evolve it into Overqwil, so it wasn't much of a good Pokemon to have. But with every blessing comes a punishment. I was up against a Magneton and it took out my goat, Potato, with 1 Zap Cannon. I was destroyed, honestly. Potato was there for us when we needed it, and it delivered. This next fight will be for you, Potato. You did well. Now you may rest. To honor Potato, I decided to build a new army. First was Deity the Bibaro. It wasn't as goofy as Potato, but it was something. We also caught another Gastrodon. This time it's a blue one, so we named it Blue Gum. It was officially Bubblegum's brother. We also found a Barraskewda, who was honestly a very good Pokemon that could lead some sweeps. I forgot to name it, but that was alright. Guess who also came back? We have the return of Patty the Kingler. He didn't do much before he left the party, but he came back to avenge Fallen Potato. He also evolved into a Kingler shortly afterwards, and after I trained them up, this was my final team before the final battle. We had Albert, the oldest team member, Pico, the Rain Settler, Patty, the strong Kingler that made a return to the party to avenge his fallen comrades, Deity, the new Goofy Goober, Blue Gum, Bubblegum's brother, who's there to avenge his fallen family, and Barraskewda, who I forgot to nickname, who was there to do some crazy damage. I was overall happy with this team, but nothing will match it to the original team I had before the Elite Four. But it was something. I was grateful for this last chance. We meet face to face with Professor Oak for the final time. Let's do this. Let's end this run. He starts with an Alolan Golem, who I honestly took out with a Surf. Next up was Dugtrio, who outsped me with Stone Edge but missed it. I landed another Surf. Pinsir was up next and knocked off my Choice Specs. He survived one Surf, but even with an Aqua Jet, I still had to use 2 to take it out. Zapdos was up next, and that was a bit of a threat, but luckily Blue Gum learned from his brother and absorbed every single electric move, as we easily take out this Zapdos with a couple of Ice Beams and a Lucky Frost. Up next was a Muk, who I was at an advantage against, but he tries to knock off my item, but luckily we had Sticky Hold. He poisons us, but we managed to come out of top with a couple of Earthquakes. I didn't want Blue Gum to go down, so I decided to go in for a switch. I decided to bring up Barraskewda for some crazy damage on that Weezing. But Barraskewda didn't do much actually. It actually put it to half health before going down. It's okay, Barraskewda, you delivered. I bring in Pico for a major Hydro Pump, which was enough. This was for you, K-Rool. This was for you, Potato. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to win this. I am thankful for every single one of my members as we finally entered the Hall of Fame. Also, a big shout out to Albert, who survived quite a lot. I was really happy with the ending of this. It had a combination of happiness, sadness, anger. I really enjoyed doing this one, and after a couple of failed attempts, I finally did it. I want to shout out the creators of Pokemon Emerald Rogue, and also Zwigo, my inspiration for doing this video. I had a lot of fun doing this. It took me quite a lot of time to also edit all of this and to make a couple of attempts, but overall it was such a great run. I kind of want to do more, so let me know if you want more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.